Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall Gruyter. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Honored to be connecting in with you. Today, we're going to be talking about narcissism. And what is it? How do we untangle it? Why is it important that we recognize and understand this? And what to do about it? In fact, we have an amazing guest on the show today who not only is an expert in this, but also has a book coming out where she shares her journey and gives wisdom and tips about how to untangle the web of narcissism. So we're in for a wonderful discussion, an empowering one that I know will support each and every one of us on our journey. Because wouldn't it be wonderful to untangle those things in our life that no longer serve, to be able to release them and to really stand in our true power, in our alignment, in our purpose, and share and shine that out into the world. That's the world I want to live in, where each of us are standing in our truth, bringing our gifts, our talents, our abilities forward and sharing them in a powerful, empowered, clean way that is supportive and encourages others to shine their gifts and talents out in the world. So I ask that you hold that intention with me today as we lean into our conversation. And I want you to get the most out of our time together today. So I want to encourage you to take a deep breath in through the nose, all the way to the tips of your toes, and then out through your mouth like through a straw. When we mindfully take deep breaths like that, it helps bring us present. It gives us an opportunity to slow down a little bit. We move so fast. So many things pull at us. Here's an opportunity for us to be still, to open, to listen, and receive. Because here's what I know. There is something here for you today in this conversation, and I know that because you tuned in. There's a reason that you are here. There's a reason you're connecting today, and I want you to receive everything that's going to be supportive and empowering for you. So let's just take that up one more level. Let's take another deep breath, but close your eyes this time. You're absolutely safe. Another deep breath. Put both hands on your heart. As you're breathing in and out, notice the beat of your heart. And try to tune into the silence in between the beats. As we inwardly tune in and listen, what is it that you need today? What is it that will encourage and empower and support you? What do you need real time to support in your life? Maybe there's something that needs to be untangled. Maybe there's a reminder of something. Maybe it's taking the opportunity to just be present. What is it that you need today that will support you, that you are willing to receive because you have choice? What is it that you need? Beautiful. Take another breath. Come back into the room, eyes open, fully present, and take a moment and write down what was laid on your heart, what it is that you need and are willing to receive. Let's start to bring it forward. Write it down. Keep it top of mind as we go through our conversation today. In fact, you'll even have opportunities to call in. We give you a number you can call in each break if you want to participate in the conversation. So perhaps what was laid on your heart could be supported through a call. So feel free to dial in when you hear that number. And with that, I'm going to go around our virtual room here and bring in our guest. I know you're going to love her. And I'm going to have you, Madison, if you could share what was laid on your heart when you took a moment to stop, pause, and listen.
Thank you for asking, Rebecca. For me, it was really a reminder that of how important it is to be in the present moment and to really listen to the words that are being spoken to you instead of letting your mind wander.
How important it is for us to all remember that. So easy for our minds to take us off in all kinds of directions, but really consciously, mindfully choosing to be present, choosing to listen, and choosing to let unfold what's happening real time in that moment is so powerful. Oh, thank you for sharing. Beautiful.
You bet.
Listeners, how about you? What was laid on your heart? Did you notice something when you stopped and paused and listened? Or a reminder? Did it just feel really good to slow down for a moment and be present? We're so honored to have you choosing to connect in with us today. As we go to our first commercial break, use these 2 minutes for you, an opportunity to be still, to listen, to capture your thoughts, to hear what's on your heart. And we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Follow Voice America at facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes and that opportunity to just be, to write down your thoughts, to listen to your heart. So important. The noise around us and how quickly life can move can sometimes distract us and keep us so busy that we can't even hear what's so important to us, what's on our heart and on our spirit. So we're going to encourage you throughout our time together. We have strategically placed commercial breaks, which are pauses in disguise for you, opportunities to integrate, to breathe, to process, to receive each break so that you actually have time while we're together to integrate what serves and release what no longer does. So I encourage you to be listening for those breaks and use them powerfully by being still, listening, breathing in what serves, releasing what no longer does. It gives you time to actually process what's being shared. So enjoy those breaks as we navigate through our time together. With that, I'm excited to welcome each of you back as we dig into the conversation around narcissism. Let me take a moment to introduce our amazing guest. I know that you're going to enjoy her heart, her spirit, and all that she has to share, her rich wisdom on this subject. Madison Frederick is a long-term survivor from years of trauma. She's a master life coach. Armed with vital techniques, she teaches others to move beyond survival to a life of peace, and she calls it glorious peace. She is passionate about helping you thrive in life. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Madison Frederick to the show. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity.
You are very welcome, Madison. I'm thrilled to have you joining us, and I'm excited about your book you have upcoming. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit, but I wanted to start our conversation with, what is narcissism, and why is this work personally so important to you?
Yeah, great question. Narcissism, I think, for myself, I totally misunderstood it. I was raised by a narcissist, my father, and I always knew that he was controlling. But when I did a deep dive into the behaviors of this being discounted, not heard, dismissed, belittled, never really felt like I was important growing up, and a lot of the behaviors of a narcissist are not necessarily black and white. It's different for everyone. So my experience with narcissism is probably different than someone else's, but I think it's important to understand the commonality of the threads that go behind that. The bravado, the puffing up the chest that the narcissist does affects everybody differently.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And so these are some of the effects of being around somebody that you experienced and that is narcissistic. Is there a common way that we could maybe recognize narcissism in our life?
I think so. For me, taking a look back at my childhood, and I understand that everybody has stuff, everybody has things that happen to them as they're growing up. But in my journey, learning about all of the behaviors that I adapted and perfected quite well as a protective device against all of the feelings and the mistreatment that I received as a child, when I really took a look at all of those things, I understood how I wasn't deserving of those things. I did deserve to be treated well, to be respected. Even as a child, we need to respect our children. Even though they may not have the worldly knowledge, they still are a person within themselves, and they still deserve to be respected and loved. And recognizing those things, the events that happened in my life, and understanding what was underneath all of that really helped me to understand myself. And at the end of the day, it's important for us to understand ourselves and understand that we are worthy, that we do have importance in the world, we do have things to share and contribute to humanity.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I love that. And it's so true. We do have worth and value and are needed in the world. And it's important that we know that and we own that and we treat others in that way as well. So thank you. I appreciate sharing. So I'm curious, with your journey that you have gone on, and you have decided to really help people in this particular area untangle the web of narcissism that can be in their life. Why is that work important to you? Why is that something you've been led to dedicate so much time and energy towards?
Great question. I started on this journey of writing a book several years ago, and as I wrote, different segments of my life events, which my book is riddled with my stories and things that happened to me and the end result of those events. But the prefaces for all of that, I received an email that accused me of being a narcissist. And it really, besides pulling the rug out from underneath me and really making me feel unbalanced and unkildered, I took a look at that and I said, am I a narcissist? And through my learning and discovering and research, I discovered a lot of things about narcissism and did a deep dive into my behaviors that I had done throughout my children's lives, that I understood why I could have been perceived as being a narcissist. And untangling all of those behaviors is really a blessing in my life. I am very, very, very grateful for that email, even though it was very, very painful, and the end results were catastrophic in the beginning of receiving that email.
I love your courage, though, in exploring and being willing to face something so difficult and painful and to learn and grow and explore and really discover where you start and stop and what types of ways you want to show up in the world going forward. So I applaud your courage in that and your willingness to face, not ignore, not discount an email of that nature, to really deeply look into things. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm curious why. So thank you for sharing why this work has become so important to you. I'd love to know, why did you feel it's important to bring it forward in a book and bring the information you have discovered and learned forward in that format? Why did that become important to you?
It became important to me because I became very well aware that a lot of people don't understand what narcissism is. They don't understand what gaslighting is. And those two behaviors really quite often go hand in hand. And I wanted to share my experiences so that people could really take a look at, see, maybe I am being gaslit. Maybe I am being codependent. Maybe I am enabling. And looking at all of those things, the web that I unraveled throughout all of my journey, I understand how I can help people by sharing my experience so they don't have to go through and be as affected for the long term like I was necessarily. They can take a shortcut, if you will, to understanding themselves even better. And I wanted to put this forth to help people. The book is not about me or anything to do with me personally. It's to shed light on the experiences. And people understand those types of things that affected them as well.
And in your book, you also include techniques and tools that can help them navigate. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Do that. Gosh. The tools that I learned along my journey were piecemeal, kind of, in a sense that when I was writing the book, I didn't necessarily start out with A, B, C, D as far as the order of the chapters. On my journey, the chapters were kind of mixed up in order because that's the way things happened and how I learned things. So the first thing that I learned about was codependency. Now, when I take a look at how I wrote the book and how I healed from those things, I started out with that, and maybe that would be program A, and there might be C, D, E, F, G, whatever. And healing, you possibly can go from step A down to step G, back up to step C, and unravel piece by piece. Because as you understand one piece of a situation or a story, it quite often triggers or gives reminders, well, gee, I was actually doing this at the same time. It's all interwoven and intertangled together. And so to unravel piece by piece is the way that I needed to heal.
Thank you for sharing. And I love that you honored that and how you put the book together. And I just noticed as you were sharing a little bit about the different pieces in the journey and some of the order of how they happen, that it can be different for everybody, what the order that they go through, where they get support, where they need support and get support. But you said the word triggers and then you added reminders. And I thought that was really powerful, that the language that we use, that what can be a trigger can actually be seen as a reminder of something to pay attention to versus something that hijacks us. So I thought that was a really powerful that you just did naturally as you were sharing about your healing journey. So I'm excited about your book that you're bringing forward. Do you mind sharing the full title and when it's coming out so those who are wanting more know exactly what date to watch for in their calendar?
Oh, exactly. The title of the book is Untangle the Web of Narcissism, From Deceit and Chaos to Finding Your Sanity. It will be available on ebook form on August the 29th.
Perfect. And that'll be on Amazon for those Amazon fans out there. So August 29th, her book will be available, and it's going to be available for a special rate of $1.99 for the first 24 hours. So I encourage you to write that date on your calendar. We're going to be posting and sharing it out towards the end of the show. Madison's also going to let you know how you can get on her list. So she'll email you personally, directly, the day of launch, so you can get the special code to get this amazing book, add it to your library for that special rate of $1.99. So make sure to mark that date on your calendar, August 29th, so that you're able to lean in and take advantage of that opportunity and that special rate. Oh, as we get ready to go to our next commercial break, I'd love for you to share a tip that you have for some of us who are finding that we feel like there are some tangles in some of those relationships around us. What's a tip or a piece of advice that you have to support us?
I think the biggest tip for me to share at this point is to remind people not to be too hard on themselves. If they've been accused of something, or if they've the relationship has been muddy, whatever, be kind to yourself. It takes two people to create situations, and it isn't necessarily your fault. Maybe you get a contributor, but it's not all on you. So be kind to yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you for that piece of advice, because you're correct. We can be very, very hard on ourselves, and it's so important to be kind, to give ourselves some grace, and to be courageous and look deeply and question and see and be willing to start to untangle some of the tangles in our life. So listeners, as we go to our next commercial break, I want to encourage you to use these 2 moments and really drink in the words that Madison has shared, her piece of advice, and see what's bubbling up, see what's coming forth, and we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
A little birdie told me Voice America is on Twitter. Follow us at Voice America TRN.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes and that opportunity to be, to breathe, to receive. That you had some things come up as you were exploring and drinking in all that Madison has shared. Perhaps there's a relationship or a question or a comment that's come forth that you're able to give a little bit more attention to while being kind to yourself as you explore and see if there's something there that needs to be looked at more deeply or untangled. How important it is to give ourselves grace as we do so. Well, excited to have you joining us as we continue our conversation about untangling the web of narcissism. Madison has been sharing a little bit about her wisdom and experience and journey, as well as sharing when her book will be coming out. So we're excited about that. Just in case anyone missed that, it's coming out on August 29th. So do make sure to put that on your calendar. We'll let you know more details as we move forward in the show. With that, Madison, I'd love for you to share a little bit about, as you started to write this book, to bring it forward, to go on the journey, you leaned into a cover design. And I know this is something that you got very excited about as it was being birthed and created. And I'd love for you to share a little bit describing your cover. So for those who are writing that beautiful date that it'll be released in the world, they have a visual to go along with it.
Absolutely. I knew from the get-go that I wanted it to be some shade of green, because green is very healing. And the web of narcissism are really depicted in, or representative of all of the learned behaviors that I use and perfected, like I mentioned earlier. So the enabling codependency, there's enmeshment that occurred in my life, gaslighting, abandonment, sexual abuse, and forgiveness. I do talk about my journey with my weight loss program, and also about, I talk about my best friend who passed away and the grief process that I had to go through when Karen died. Those are all part of my web that I had to unravel and untangle. And I do want to mention that because I went through all of these things, if you're living with a narcissist or in a narcissistic relationship, doesn't necessarily mean you have all of these other principles that I talk about in my book. Doesn't mean that those things have to be applicable to you personally. But I believe that even when I'm talking about estrangement, you may not be estranged from anybody else, but the feelings that get evoked, the distrust, the anger, all of those things we experience as we go through life, especially when life gets lifey. And I think people can relate to all of the chapters in the book in one form or another.
Beautiful. I like that when life gets lifey. So that's a great phrase. And thank you for sharing some of the pieces of your web that are in the book and letting people know that every journey is unique in what they're experiencing. So going back to the cover, you mentioned a web and you mentioned green. Do you mind describing just a little bit more so they know that they have found your book when they see the cover?
You bet. The web is intermersed with some flowing grasses. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like in a field, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So the web spreads out through, it's almost the entire cover of the book. And then in the middle of the book, there's a little box that says, "From deceit and chaos to finding your sanity." To me, the book looks very soothing, and it looks like there might be some possibilities of some healing and some opportunity to grow strong within yourself.
Beautiful.
That's the feeling that I get when I look at the cover.
I love it. And I love that visual of a web because that's so much these tangles that can get created in our life by these relationships. So I love that visual of seeing that, but knowing that growth, that green grass beneath it, that there is growth, there is healing possible, and these webs can be untangled. So thank you for taking a moment to describe your cover for the visual listeners out there that want to feel in and identify and know that this is Madison's book when you see it on August 29th, just making sure everyone has that on the calendar. Now, going back to narcissism and looking at bringing this book forward, can you share a little bit of where you have found some of the most healing moments? And if you had an opportunity to talk to your younger self, what would you say?
I think I would answer that by saying that after all was said and done, the thing that I learned the most about myself and was the biggest takeaway from all of it is that I learned how I had justified and used justification for everything that I did, especially with my children. And I learned from my dad that you couldn't back down, you couldn't, I misunderstood, I misheard, or he didn't say it at all. And I found myself looking at that and realizing how even when there was a situation with my son and an event happened, which I talk about in the book in detail, but I could not say, "I'm sorry," I could not say any. The words just would not come out of my mouth because I was busy in the back of my head, A, not being present to begin with, and B, trying to justify, well, it happened because. And that was my biggest takeaway from all of that. And I think narcissism, it was at a grassroots for me. I experienced that from the very get-go. As young as 5 years old, I really became aware of the mistrust that my dad had of our relationship and other relationships that he had with other people. And that became very clear to me when I started doing my healing and on my journey.
You mentioned that it was very hard you couldn't say those words, and staying present was really difficult, almost these survival types of things that you were doing and reacting and responding from. So as you went on your journey and you discovered these things about yourself and were able to start healing some of the pieces, have you found that you are able to stay present more? You are able to say, "I'm sorry" for things? Have you found that you have been able to stand in those places more easily?
Oh, absolutely. The last chapter of my book, I talk about how when I was doing all of my not great behaviors, and I would think about an event or a story, and I would dwell on it. I would talk about it sometimes for years. And again, justifying in through all of that whole mess. But now it's to the point where if something happens, I'm able to pull back and say, well, wait a minute, this probably isn't them, it's me, and where should I have responded differently, or what could I have done differently? And that only came through using all of the tools that I teach about in the book. It doesn't happen overnight, and I've been on this journey for 30 plus years, so I wasn't able to go from doing the monologue of trying to recruit everybody on Madison's team to take my side way back when, to being able to say, no, wait a minute, it didn't happen, I have to take a piece of responsibility for my own behaviors and my own reactions in this particular situation. It must be me, not them.
What a powerful shift. And that puts you into a place of being empowered versus dependent upon other people's behaviors or reactions. You're getting to choose your response and do so from a place that's more true and aligned with you. And you mentioned these different healing techniques that are in your book. You've mentioned them a couple of times. Is there one that comes to mind that's just one that you commonly use, or one of your favorites? I know it's hard to choose your favorite of favorites, but is there one that comes to mind just so people have an example of a healing technique?
Yeah, probably the one that I use most commonly is called EFT tapping, and that stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And that really, the way that works is when we get into fight or flight and our body starts creating cortisol, which is a hormone that pulls us back into protection mode. EFT tapping helps break that, and there's what happens when the cortisol is created, it creates a mind and a body connection. And when I go through the tapping process, it breaks that connection, so to speak, so that I can release that stress hormone and go back and retrieve out of the fight or flight mode that I'm in at that time. It starts with looking at the negative, naming it, putting a feeling to it, really digging in and feeling those feelings that you're feeling. And then throughout the process, it gets flipped to where you look at the positive end of that. Well, maybe I don't have to feel this way, and I give myself permission to not feel this way. And it calms yourself down internally.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, because it seems like that would not only calm you down physically, but, mentally and emotionally, all of it. And honoring, processing, and then releasing, getting it out. So it's not hijacking and running you. So I know you have a lot of different resources available where people can connect with you. They can learn more. They go deeper. Do you mind sharing where we can connect, go deeper, and tap into some information about some of these things you've been sharing?
You bet. The best way to get in touch with me is through my website. The URL is madisonfrederick.com, easy peasy. And on there will be an opportunity to sign up for a free discovery session and to see if maybe there's something that I can do to help you in any particular area that you're wanting to take a look at. I also will be offering free gifts through my website, and people can also go on there and sign up for a PDF copy of the introduction so they get a feel for what the entire book is about.
Oh, wonderful. I love that. So not only are you making available these 3 gifts, but an opportunity to talk with you and explore and go deeper. That's very generous of you. I appreciate you making that available for our listeners. Do you mind sharing that site one more time?
That it's madisonfrederick.com.
Perfect. Well, we are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. As we do that, listeners, I want you to think about some of what Madison has shared and really see what this is bringing up, what you're discovering, what you're exploring. And we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Voice America is on your favorite smart speaker. If you have Alexa or Google Home, go ahead and give us a try.
Hey Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast on TuneIn.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You need to live up to your full potential. You've heard that for years, but now there's a channel to help you get there. Introducing the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Our listeners have told us that they want to be motivated, hear about success stories, and positive encouragement around the clock. And we've responded to you. The Voice America Empowerment Channel is the home of the world's top life coaches, entrepreneurs, and success experts. Listen to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. It's here at voiceamericaempowerment.com.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Find out what makes the most successful people tick. Keep listening to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. voiceamericaempowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed those 2 minutes, an opportunity to go deeper and really explore what's being laid on your heart and on your spirit as you dig into some of what we've been talking about and sharing today. And perhaps one of the things that's been pulling at your heart is that you have a message that you're wanting to get out as well. Perhaps it's in writing a book, or it's sharing on a show like ours, or it's another way that you're wanting to reach people. So I want to let you know of a couple resources that can help. So one of them is called the Speaker Talent Search. You can learn more at speakertalentsearch.com. This is an opportunity where with one application process, you can be considered for a lot of different shows and opportunities, and it's part of our give back. So we're just getting ready to announce the 2024 dates. So write down speakertalentsearch.com, and you'll want to make sure to look that up the beginning of August, and you'll see all of the dates that are coming up in 2024 and how you can engage and apply. For those of you who are looking at bringing a book forward, that you have that planted in your heart like Madison did, I want to encourage you to go to emergingauthorseries.com, and that's with an S, emergingauthorseries.com. You'll see a collection of different ebooks, all designed to empower you on your author's journey, from figuring out, I have an idea, how do I bring it forward, myths and truths about publishing, what is a best-selling launch and do I need it, anthologies, what are those, all of those types of questions we get asked in the publishing space. You can select as many of them as you would like and download the chapters to support you. Our gift to you today at emergingauthorseries.com. So we are coming back, excited to have Madison share a little bit more with you. She and I were talking behind the scenes, and I mentioned to her, on your cover, don't you have little dewdrops on the spider web? And she said, yes. And it always strikes me when I see those on her cover because you can see the light shining through. And isn't that encouraging in the web of life to know that there is light shining through and shining out? So Madison, I didn't know if you wanted to just add to our conversation about the droplets, the spider web, anything like that as people lean into learning more about you and your book.
You bet. You bet. Excuse me. The web itself, if you think about how a spider attracts things, naturally they're using it for food, and I liken it to be the web attracts and collects things that we can take a look at that will ultimately serve us to be able to unravel and look at it for our source of food, just like a spider collects things into the center of their web. We could collect those things that bring forth to use those for our benefit for growth.
I love that. We get to choose what our web captures and brings in and filter out what we no longer want. I love it. Beautiful. Well, Madison, I have so enjoyed having you join us on the show today. We're excited about your book coming out on August 29th. I have it on our calendar. We're honored to be helping share out the message in social media, and to our lists. So listeners, please make sure to put that on your calendar and lean into that special rate, the first 24 hours of $1.99. And as you reflect on our conversation, Madison, do you have a piece of advice or something on your heart that you really want to share with our listeners to empower them on their journey?
I just want to reiterate how important it is to be kind to yourself as you're looking through these issues and things that are happening to you. It doesn't happen overnight. Just like when we get overweight, it doesn't happen overnight. You know, one day you're at one place and the next you're way out in the alley somewhere in the field. It accumulates bit by bit by bit. And as we grow and we heal, we peel those layers off just like the layers of an onion. You peel one layer off and can make peace with that. You look at another layer of that onion and you can make peace with that as you go. And I just encourage people to not to understand that they don't have to look at the whole big piece at a time. You don't have to chew the elephant all at one time. Just to take it piece by piece and be kind to yourself on your journey.
Really important advice. I love that. A piece at a time. And onions, the layers are really thin, but if you keep pulling them one at a time and healing, that's a much easier journey than trying to take a big old bite at once. I think it's a much kinder journey, and it still gets you there step by step. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Madison. I appreciate you leaning into our conversation today. We're excited about your book coming out. And I'd love for you to just give us the full title one more time so everybody makes sure they write it down.
Sure. It's Untangle, the Web of Narcissism, From Deceit and Chaos to Finding Your Sanity.
Beautiful. And your website one more time, just in case anyone missed it.
MadisonFrederick.com.
Okay, perfect.
And
well, thank you.
The last name is Frederick.
Perfect. Thank you. Just in case. I appreciate that. Well, thank you again for joining us. I appreciate it. Listeners, I want to thank you for leaning in and being part of the conversation today. And I want to encourage you, take some time today. At the end of the show, don't just rush back out into the world. Take some time. Really feel into the conversation. See what's speaking to your heart and to your spirit. You are so important. You have great value, great worth, and you're worthy of having relationships that are nourishing and empowering and supportive to you, and you get to be that to others. It is worth the journey of going and really peeling back the layers, untangling those things, releasing those things that no longer serve healing where the healing needs to be, and then choosing how to step forward, how to navigate forward in life. You get to choose those things. You get to be who you want to be. You get to plant the seeds that are important to you. You get to choose the legacy you're creating now and going forward. And the relationships are part of that. And they can be such a rich and encouraging and nourishing part of the journey. So take time to build that relationship with yourself, to build that relationship with others, and really untangle the webs that need to be untangled and create that shimmering, beautiful, light-filled web with the little dewdrops in life, bringing in what you want to call forward, and reflecting and sharing out those things that are most important to you. Because you are a gift, absolutely needed in the world. There's no one else just like you. So today, starting now, not someday, I want to encourage you to take those steps on the journey, to lean into resources like Madison is providing to encourage and walk beside and support you on your journey. Please know that we are here as well, supporting and encouraging you, and want you to take great care. Be kind to yourself on the journey, as Madison has shared. My grandmother would say, be extra kind to yourself, just like you would be to your best friend. Remember to be that to yourself as well. Be willing to bring that forward. I hope you each have an amazing week, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time. Remember to bloom where you're planted and shine.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter, next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel. Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.